Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. This chapter has different parts. In the first part, Krishna, because in the previous chapter, Krishna explained how we became conditioned by these three modes. And now here it will be described how we are entangled in the material world. And he will use the analogy of a banyan tree with its roots upside down, which is a reflection from a real tree in the spiritual world. He will explain how to cut this tree with the axe of knowledge and attachment. He will describe symptoms of liberated souls, and then an important verse is 15:7. Mamaivam Suchi Vedoki Jiva Bhuta Snatna Manasastrindrani Pragati Stani Karsati. It explains who we are, a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but unfortunately we are struggling in this material world, especially with the mind, which makes us identify with this world. And then, it explains how the soul becomes entangled by association with material nature. But then in 15:15, Krishna explains his position. Sarvasya samriti sanifishtamata smritika nama pamsam vedasa sarvamaiva vidya vedantavit vidavitevacham. Krishna says, for me becomes knowledge, forgetfulness, remembrance, that I'm to be known by the Vedas. I'm the knower of the Vedas and the compiler of the Vedas. So this is very important. And then the last 4 verses are a summary. They are said to be a summary of the Vedanta Sutta. These last verses. It's also called the Tri Gita Sloki. So the whole philosophy in 3 verses. But we will see that at the end. That's the conclusion of this chapter. So let's hear about the banyan tree, how we are entangled in this material world. That Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urtvamulamada Sakam Ashvatam Prau Afyam Sadam Siyasya Paranani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and it branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he explains all these parts of this tree. The purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. So we have to find the root of the tree. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. That because he's practicing the purpose of the Vedas, which is explained devotional service, our relationship with Krishna. So he has already understood because he's practicing. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. So, attachment to objects in this world keeps us in this material world, and this tree has so many objects we will see. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. So, by knowledge, we can liberate ourselves. So knowledge is important to get liberation. That's for purification of the heart. It's not so important to develop love of Godhead, but first you must purify your heart. You need knowledge for that. Now the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. So that has already been explained in the 5th chapter. Yat sankhya papadeshtanam tat yuger apigamyate. Yeah. So this verse says one who, it explains one who is attached to Krishna is automatically renounced, automatically detached. Attachment to Krishna is detachment from the material world. And the verse is Yabasa Sapasati, one who understands, one who sees that renunciation or attachment to Krishna or devotional service is the same. He sees things as they are. So that real renunciation is we attain by becoming attached to Krishna. That, yes. Because then we understand everything belongs to Krishna, so and everything is for his service. So nothing is ours. If nothing is ours, we cannot renounce anything. Automatically one is renounced. The fruits represent the results of the living entities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. We want to eat these fruits in the banyan tree, the fruits of liberation. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and root up. So if you see a tree at a pond, then you can see in the water that it's upside down, is the reflection. So that's like, but we know it's a reflection, there is a real tree. And the same in this world. Everything here, what exists here in the material world, exists in the spiritual world, as its roots there. But here it's presented in a perverse way. It's temporary. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. So the root of this reflection, the cause of this reflection is desire, our desire to enjoy. That's why Krishna created the material world.
Is the desire.
Yes?
The root is the desire, right?
The root of the
reflection.
Of the reflection, yeah. The cause of the reflection. That is desire. The reflection of the spiritual world is situated on the desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things, and that's important in everything we do. Our desire. If we desire things for I and mine, then you get reactions, under the laws of material nature. If we desire for Krishna, then we are free from these reactions. Why is that? If desire I and mine, you must take responsibility for your actions. You are personally responsible. Every action will get a reaction. But if we act for Krishna, we act on behalf of Krishna. And then we are not responsible because we are just executing the order of Krishna. It's like on the battlefield a soldier fights on the order of the general. That he fights on the order of the general. And by that, if he kills someone, kills the enemy, he gets a medallion, a decoration, or they call it, but he's honored for doing that. But if one kills someone in time of peace, not during the war, then one is responsible. One may go for prison for a very long time. It's the same principle. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationships with it. One cannot cut his tree, but one can cut one's relationship with it. Relationship is made through material nature. How do we associate with material nature? By our desire to enjoy. It's bhakti, hater, uchate. The cause is our enjoyment. Karya, karana, kartit, ve. Anyway, this verse we saw last time. The material world is a perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variedness, but in reality. So the real thing is in the spiritual world. The real thing means the eternal thing, full of bliss and happiness. But then the reflection comes. That just because of our desire, we enter the reflection of the spiritual world. Interesting. The reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. Origin from where the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off the attachment of this material nature. So what does knowing the Vedas mean? Knowing how to cut off this reflection of this tree, one's relationship with it. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of God himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree in the spiritual world. Text 2. So we have learned that this banyan tree, what does it represent? Our entanglement in the material world. We learn the material world is like a reflection of the real tree in the spiritual world. So everything that exists here exists in the spiritual world. But in its original situation, in its original position, that yes. Good.
The banana tree doesn't represent the material world, but it represents our entanglement in the material world.
Yeah, it represents the material world explained in a way that we understand our entanglement. Yeah, it's an analogy that helps us to understand
The problem.
the problem. Adashurtvam prasistastasya saka guna pavitta vishaya pravana Adashamulani anushantatani karmanu bandini manushaloke. The branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. So the tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature. That's because it exists out of material nature. It's nourished by that. So where particular modes of material nature are proportionally greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. Yeah. In the streets you have quarters or places where we stay in the street. And the closer to the roots in the spiritual world, the more in sattva, in sattva gun. And down is tamagun, will, passion. So the twigs of the tree are considered to be the sense objects. That's what we are after. We want to enjoy sense objects. The twigs, the leaves. Yeah, you have the leaves and twigs. The twigs and the leaves are attached to the twigs. Yeah. The twigs of the tree are considered to be sense objects. By development of the different modes of nature, we develop different senses, and by the senses we enjoy various sense objects. These twigs we want to enjoy. The tips of the branches are the senses, the ears, nose, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense objects. The twigs are sound, form, touch, and so on, the sense objects. The subsidiary roots are attachment and aversion. Subsidiary. Secondary roots. Attachment and aversion are false ego, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. Yeah. We suffer because we don't like things. That happens. Get happiness, that's what we like. The tendencies toward piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots. So, because pious activities, piety, will give us higher pleasure, sense pleasure. And impiety will bring us suffering. So one starts to act pious and start to avoid impiety with the idea to go up in the tree, closer to the roots. That's all what happens. You move from one place to another. Pramanda Brahmate, you move. But we are all in the prison, and you can have these days. I've seen in many Western countries, prisons looks like luxury hotels. They have internet and everything. They can go to swim. So like that we can have in this material world a first-class residential quarter, and the best quarters are with Lord Brahma. The bad quarters, those the hellish ones. But you are still in the prison. You may have a first class, so okay. some people are so attached, being in the prison, they come out, they perform a crime because they want to go back. Attached to the prison. The tendencies to have piety and piety were considered to develop from these secondary roots, yeah. So, after one enjoys the results of virtuous activities in the upper planetary systems, a little closer to the root, he comes down to this earth to renew his karma. That's a cycle of pious and impious activities. Yeah. One performs pious activities, one goes up. He can stay there with the credit of his pious activities. And then when the balance comes here, one comes back to the earth. Because the earth is the field of activities. In the upper planetary systems, heaven, you are paying with your good karma. There is no new karma made. That
You only exhaust karma.
you exhaust karma and you come back. But you have to come back.
Anyway.
You go on a vacation, you have to pay. But then the last day you have to come back. So what's the use? Some people live for that the whole year. They work very hard for these 2 weeks of vacation. And I worked in a travel agency in Brussels, and then they spend all their money, 2 weeks, and then after that they write complaint letters. I was dealing with them. They said it was hell. There 2 weeks. Oh, it didn't work out. But, yeah. So you go to the heavenly planets. And there you come in the middle of a Star Wars. The demons are attacking the demigods. And there you are. You think, oh, it's a good vacation. No, it was not so good vacation.
What was that?
You have to come back. You learn that all in the Bhagavatam.
Some tsunami coming.
Yeah.
Destroy everything.
And still you have the same problems there. So Krishna went to the heavenly planets. Well, on the way he killed Bhamasura, and he brought back some things that Bhamasura had stolen to Indra, and Indra received him with such reverence and all puja. That's one may think, oh, Indra, nice person. But then Satyabhama, Krishna knew that she wanted a parijata flower. Krishna says, a parijata flower, let us take the whole tree. And he took the tree away, and immediately Indra became angry and started to attack Krishna. So before it's very, very nice, but then something against his interest. Immediately, a completely different person attack him. So that is the difference. Yeah, you go to these heavenly planets. But not a nice vacation. One comes down to this earth and renews his karma. There one goes again.
But why he once, when Krishna was 7 years old,
Please?
The story with Indra and Krishna, it was when he was 7 years old. After that, why he did the same things?
Yeah, first of all, we don't know is it the same Indra, because
okay.
Indra is opposed.
Okay.
But yes, but Indra forgets that because he's under influence of this mode of passion in the mixed with goodness. But it's under influence of that. And what's the influence of the mode of passion in Bhagavad Gita? Avitam jnanam etina jnana nityabhara, takes away your intelligence. So this planet of human beings is considered the field of activities. Here we get karmic reactions and so on. So, and we can build up new credit, but that's not what a devotee wants. He avoids building up this credit, because by performing of devotional service you lose all your karma. You lose also your good and bad. You lose also your good credits. And some in India, they know that's the worshippers of Lord Shiva coming in a Vishnu temple. They think, oh, where's my money? To lose it if I'm going to worship Krishna, and I lose it, I get in trouble. That because you give to Krishna, it takes all your karma, good and bad. They don't want it.
They go to Ganesh.
No worship of Krishna. That's not what. Because it takes away my good karma, so it brings me in trouble. And they say, yes, Krishna causes only trouble. You see, these Pandavas always in trouble. I'm going to become like them. I met a devotee from India, Ganeshyam. He was in Sweden. Was pujari there, well, doing service there, and then he came to Malaga. He's still in Malaga. He's not so connected with the temple anymore, but he told me when he became a devotee, because his mother was worshipping Lord Shiva, and when he was chanting Krishna's names, she said, I don't want to hear it. This Krishna gave me only trouble, stop it. And a few layers later she was dying, leaving her body. And he was there with her, and he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And before she left her, she gave her last breath. She could not speak anymore, but she said, like this, no, I don't want. Till the end. But anyway.
It's interesting paradox that the richest god Krishna, his devotees are the poorest, and then the poorest Shiva, his devotees are the richest.
That's why is that? The reason why that is that Lord Shiva gives easily benedictions, material benedictions. Though they worship all Lord Shiva to get his benedictions, but Lord Shiva, when he gives benedictions, he does not consider whether that's good or bad for their spiritual advancement. They worship him, he is pleased, he gives the benedictions. But Krishna is not like that. He thinks, my devotee is asking this, but is that good for him? Is that not good for his spiritual advancement? Krishna doesn't give. He will take away what you are attached to. But that's not always the case. If one becomes a pure devotee, Krishna can give unlimitedly. Sudam Vipram.
They don't want nothing.
Yeah. Okay. We are deviating towards the Bhagavatam. Narupanasya tatu palapyate namto nasade nasa sampatishta asvatamedam suviruda mulam asangasastrena tridena chitva tata patam tat parimarhitavyam yasmin gatagna nivatar Timpuya Tameva Sadyam Purusham Prapatye Yata Pravite Prastristra Purani. The real form of this tree can be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, where its foundation is, but with determination one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Therefore one must seek that place from which, having gone, no one returns. And that surrender is to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began, and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So one must go to that place where one never returns. That's after Lord Varadev killed Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakasipu was very angry. He wanted to take revenge. He said, where is this Vishnu? And he wandered all over the universe to find Lord Vishnu. But he could not find him. His idea was, he has gone from whom no one returns. Is that? That was his conclusion. But where was Lord Vishnu? He was in his own heart. So that's, the materialist looks always outside, in the banyan tree, in the different places in the banyan tree, but does not find Krishna, who is the root. So yet one has to find out the cause of this tree. We have heard it's based on desire. So that desire, material desire, we have to become cut off, that become detached. Finally, in this way, when one reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the end of research work. One finds, yes, Krishna is the cause of this tree. But we are also the cause by our desire. So one has to research out of the origin of this tree, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through association of persons who are in knowledge of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then try to understand. One becomes healthy, detached from this false reflection of reality. And by knowledge, one can put off the connection and actually become situated in the real tree. So one sit in a maze and does not know how to get out. As a child, many times you have a maze and you have to draw a line how to get out. And then you say, oh, this is the wrong way. Again, the wrong way. Unless you find the way, but someone who knows the way, if he shows you, you can get out much quicker. Otherwise, you may never get out.
So the real purpose of these three is to give chance to the conditioned soul to get out of illusion. Is one purpose. The other one is because of our desire. There is two.
Yeah, this tree is the prison house.
Is a prison house.
It's meant to keep us in this material world. It's difficult to disentangle us. It's a disentanglement of our consciousness. Our consciousness is connected with this tree, with the three modes of material nature. Therefore we have to get the passion and ignorance out. And when we come to goodness, we find a way to get out. We get knowledge. But that knowledge we can get by association with those who have knowledge. We need a guide. Srila Prabhupada is our guide. Spiritual Master is our guide. Then by understanding, one becomes wholly detached from this false reflection of reality. and by knowledge one can cut off the connection and then actually become situated in the real tree. Therefore one must learn detachment by discussion of spiritual science based on authoritative scriptures. So you discuss the scriptures and then you understand how I don't need to go after these twigs and these leaves. That's entangling me. I have to find the root and get out. Yes. As a result of such discussions in association of devotees, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the first thing one must do is surrender unto Him. Surrendering, Krishna is giving us the knowledge how to get out of this tree. But we can only understand and realize it when we surrender. To gain the favor of that personality of Godhead, one is only to surrender, and this is a result of performing devotional service by hearing, chanting, and so on. Surrender is a result of this hearing, chanting, remembering. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of this strong banyan tree of the material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extension. So, that was the banyan tree. So, three things to do to get out of it. In this verse, find one in knowledge, surrender to the Lord, and then one can get out. So, the tree was nourished by the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. That's how it's nourished, and it.
Find one in knowledge, surrender to the Lord, and the third one?
Yeah.
Third one?
Attains the eternal abode. That's the result. So it's nourished by the three modes from the root onwards. And then in the tree there are living entities. What are they doing? They try to taste the fruit. If you look at a tree, up is down and down is up. So down. Yeah, because it's up, it's the opposite. So what exists in the spiritual world as the real tree, exists here, and Prabhupada gives the example. The highest form of intense love in Goloka Vrindavan is the Parakiya love, the love of the gopis that were officially married, but they have a relationship with Krishna. That's the highest. It's the most abominable in the material world. That the wife has a relationship with another man. That's not good. I was in that situation. My wife had a relationship with another man. What could I do? Divorce. The most abominable thing. That is the highest in the spiritual world. That everyone lives. That one can say, oh, Krishna has a relationship with other man's wives. Is that immoral? Is it immoral that Krishna is in the heart of everyone, all the living entities? No, it's beyond the mundane morality. That we must understand that. We have all our relationship with Krishna. Krishna is not an ordinary human being. That its relationship with the gopis is not based on lust. Krishna does not need anyone. He's self-satisfied. But is attracted by their pure love for him. And we can't see how far the tree extends and where it ends. No idea. When you are in the tree, you don't know where you are. You don't even know that's a tree. But this tree is described in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Vedas. That higher planets, lower planets, and so on. Although living entities are internal fragmental parts of Krishna, they are struggling with the senses. We lose our time with struggling with the senses and the mind. And why? Because we want fruits. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, why is, I'm just repeating, why is the banyan tree there in the material world? It's because of desire, reflection on desire. It has roots. The real roots grow upwards. The roots, they grow to Brahmaloka. The secondary roots go down, Bhuloka, from Bhuvasva. Bound by fruitive activities by human society. So we are in this tree by our fruitive activities. We want to take the fruits. As long as we want the fruits, the twigs and leaves, we stay in this world. The branches. The branches of the tree are the upper and lower planets. The leaves are the Vedic hymns. The twigs the sense objects. And the tips of branches the senses. So, good to remember that we are in this tree. So you can keep this. But now the one who was successful in cutting down this tree is liberated. So one who has cut the tree, his relationship with the tree by detachment and knowledge, he becomes liberated. So what's a liberated person? Krishna gives now a definition of a liberated person. That in 15.5. Nirmamama Shita Sangadosa Atyatma Nitya Vinivrittikama Tvanfer Vimukta Sukha Dukkha Samye Gacchanta Muda Padamapyam Tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, and who understands the internal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who are unbewildered, know how to surrender to the Supreme Person, attain that eternal kingdom. So, are we free from false prestige? Do we want something to attain? That, yes, false prestige. That's something what the sannyas committee is looking at. The sannyas candidate. Does this person has false prestige? So the question is, why do you want to take sannyas? What's the motivation? And then you get feedback and someone says so. That's the perception of the people of this person. That does he want some profit, distinction and recognition? Want to have a post or this or sometimes very subtle. Must give that up. That, it's not you become a sannyasi, you become a different person or something. No. That, you are like everyone else, that's all. That, we try just, a sannyasi is a preacher, it's a service. And otherwise, this great glorification, that's dangerous. One gets glorified and then one thinks, oh, I deserve it. Then you are finished. It's a dangerous position because everyone glorifies you if you believe it in a certain person. No, therefore, a devotee, a sannyasi receives glorification and he gives it to the spiritual master. It knows it's not for me, it's for what I represent as a sannyasi. Represent the Guru Parampara, I give it to the Guru Parampara. So they glorify me for my function. That is not for me. So that's, because it's said in Bhagavad Gita, one who takes sannyas, is in the 3rd chapter, and who is still attached to something, it will just be a trouble for that person. So nirmamo, then false prestige, illusion and false association, who understands the eternal, who are done with material lust. Done with material lust. Does that mean one is not influenced by lust anymore? Someone asked Srila Prabhupada in the class. He asked, the devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, do you have lust in your mind? Quite a question. Srila Prabhupada said no. But then in the afternoon, he went to another temple, was in America, and the devotee who asked the question was opening the door for him. Then Srila Prabhupada looked at him and said, yes, I have lust in my mind, but I have no time for it. So what does it mean? That, of course, Srila Prabhupada is not influenced by lust, but it's teaching us that you are in this material world, and even the influence of this of the environment, lust can come into your mind. But we should not run after it, not become attached to it, not wanting. One must give up the desire. One must give up to engage in it, not wanting it. It's very important that determination should be there. That it's not that one can avoid this influence in the mind. The mind is made of material energy. There's always some passion also. But it's the most dangerous thing for a devotee, is sexual attraction. It's, whether one is sannyasi or whatever situation, illicit sex, it works like an atom bomb, destroys everything. We have seen that by so many. Because that's the greatest sign of, the greatest tendency of exploitation. It's done with material lust. That, like the sannyasi takes a vow, is done with material lust. It's no question of coming back on that. No way. But that's not only for sannyas, it's also for grihastas. They must say, done with lust. Lust is only for procreation. It's the same. Whatever order you are, done with lust. That we are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Yes, that we must give that up. Happiness and distress. It's for the body. That it's just an idea. That sense gratification is happiness. That this body is meant to give us enjoyment. No, the body is a machine that gives us pain. It's meant for that. And we unbewildered know how to surrender to the Supreme Person. That's the most important characteristics of a liberated person. Is surrender to the Supreme Person. And what does it mean? Whatever good or bad happens in my life is the mercy of Krishna. That's something we should always remember. If you are in that consciousness, you can attain the eternal kingdom. So when one is free from the illusion caused by pride, he can to begin the process of surrender. So one must become humble. Humble, Srila Prabhupada gives, is give up the satisfaction of wanting to be honored. One must give that up. And then one can begin the process of surrender after that. For one who is always expecting some honor in the material world, it is not possible to surrender to the Supreme Person. So someone honors us and they think, oh, that's a good person, he's my well-wisher, he's honoring me. But factually, that although one should think this honoring is my enemy. The person is not my enemy, but honoring is my enemy. Because a devotee, when honored, feels very embarrassed, very embarrassed. That, but material people like it. I'm honored. That for one who is always expecting some honor in the material world, it is not possible to surrender to the Supreme Person. The whole world moves under this impression. People are considering the land, this earth, to belong to human society, and they have divided the land under the false impression that they are the proprietors. Yeah? So we are such good persons. We have stolen it from God, but we are such good persons. We are now, it's like thieves. They have stolen something, and the head thief says to the other thieves, let it divide now honestly. That's going on in this material world. Let it divide honestly. We are such good persons. We have stolen it from but anyway. One has to get out of this false notion that human society is the proprietor of this world. No. After this stage, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. So it gives, these are different stages in the purpose. It's to come to that liberation. First, one gives up all honor, and then one becomes humble, then one can surrender to the Supreme Lord. And surrender means understanding we are not a proprietor to the enjoyer, keep it up, that by hearing and chanting we come to that. And then one can develop spiritual knowledge, because then one becomes detached, and then one can realize spiritual knowledge. One has to cultivate knowledge of what factually is his own and what is actually not its own. And when one has an understanding of things as they are, he becomes free from all dual conceptions such as happiness and distress, pleasure and pain. He becomes fully knowledge, then it is possible for him to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is our own, what is not our own? The first verse of Shisa Upanishad. We will learn that. text 6. Nataba sayate suruna sakankana pavka katyatvana nivartate tatama paramam mama. So, Lord Krishna gives some more information about his spiritual abode, because in the previous verse he said attain to that eternal kingdom. Now he speaks about his eternal kingdom, where we belong. He says the supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never returns to this material world, so no electricity bill there. It's illuminated by the sun or the moon. It is not by fire or electricity, not illumined by the sun or the moon. So all these planets in the spiritual world, they are self-effulgent. There are more effulgence than thousands of suns at the same time. Anyway, this effulgence we find also radiated in the Brahma Jyoti. Kumar, when he entered the spiritual world, first he saw Lord Narayan, but he could not see anything. It was all light. But gradually he could start to perceive the Supreme Lord. The spiritual abode, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is known as Krishna Loka Goloka Vrindavan, is described there. The shining effulgence of all those planets constitute the shining sky known as the Brahma Jyoti. That's actually the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. Part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. That's the portion where we are, that's covered by the Mahatattva. So it's all the kingdom of God, but we are in that part, the prison section, Mahatattva. Part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. Other than this is a major portion that shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called the Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavan. So you have this planets all pictures on the cover of the first canto. That's very beautiful. In this conditional life, the living entity considers himself to be the Lord of this material world. But in his liberated state, he enters into the spiritual kingdom and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord. There he enjoys eternal bliss, eternal life, and full of knowledge. So first we must come to this liberated stage. Characteristics have been explained in the previous verse. But if it takes to Krishna consciousness, then there is a chance of Gandhi becoming detached. One has to associate himself with devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness. He must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, one should take it very seriously that devotional service, as described in the 12th chapter, is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. So that's the only way to get out of this tree, devotional service. Only devotional service is pure transcendental. So now, in the next verse, Krishna explains who we are. And in the verses 8, 9, 10, he will describe how we transmigrate from one body and another, how that happens. It's very interesting. We can, 7 is there. We will discuss 7 to finish. Mamaivam shojive loke jivya bhuta sanatna manasasya indriyani pragatistani karsati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So we are spiritual sparks of Krishna. and the spiritual sparks, they belong into the fire. Then they have the fiery condition. But when a spark comes out of the fire and falls on the ground, it doves, it goes out, and it loses its spiritual qualities. So that's what happened to us. We came out of the fire, but we have to get in the fire again. Living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Krishna says eternal. Eternal. And fragmental, very small. That we are mini gods. Because we are a part of him. So everything what is in Krishna is within us, but in minute portions, very limited. He has it, unlimited. Yes. Living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. It's clearly said Sanatan, eternal. The primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva, and the secondary expansions are called the living entity. It's called Svamsa and Vibhinamsa. Svamsa are Krishna's direct expansions, Lord Narayan and Vishnu, the Lila avatars, the Purush avatars, all Vishnu Tattva. But we are separate parts and parcels. That Vibhinamsa. That the separate expansions, the living entities are eternal servitors. So we are a part of the whole. The part of the whole has to serve the whole. It's like a screw in a machine. If it's separated, it's useful, but in a machine it becomes useful. So we must be connected. And that connection is devotional service. The separate expansions of the living entities have their identities. So we are not without identity. We have a Svarup, an original, natural relationship with Krishna. And our relationship is individual. Everyone has a different relationship with Krishna. Not completely the same. You have fingerprints. Everyone different. So that's a reflection, that body of the spiritual world, a perverted reflection of our real body. So it's all, we are all unique. Relationship with Krishna. That. A fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the living entities, also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence is one. So we have some independence, very minute. Because we are marginal, we have to connect with other energies, either material or spiritual. And that's what our independence. We can connect either with the spiritual or the material man. That connection starts with meditation, desire. Desire. So the connection with the banyan tree is based on material desire, wanting the twigs and the leaves to enjoy. Every living entity as an individual soul has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of that independence, misuse means I desire to be the proprietor and enjoyer, taking Krishna's position. One becomes a conditioned soul, and by proper use of independence is always liberated. In either case is qualitatively eternal, and the Supreme Lord in his liberated state is free from the material condition and is under the engagement of transcendental service of the Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature, and he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, the conditioned life dominated. That some people they don't want to get out of the prison. But,
I like it very much.
it's spiritual amnesia being conditioned. One forgets one's real position. That as a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world. It is clear, however, in this verse that the conditioned soul is covered by a material body with mind and senses, and when he is liberated, in this material covering perishes, but the spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity. So that's important to understand. Shall I read it again? It is clear, however, in this verse that the conditioned soul is covered by the material body with mind and the senses. And when he is liberated, this material covering perishes, disappears. But the spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity. When a living entity gives up this material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world, he revives his spiritual body. And in his spiritual body, he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face. And he can understand the Supreme Personality as he is. At liberation, the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it ends, the fragmental part and parcel of the Lord is qualitatively one with the Lord, just as parts and parcels of the Lord are also gold. So, qualitatively one, quantitatively different. We are minute. So, that was the section of today. This morning we get the two other sections this afternoon. Any question?
Is the sky blue because this is the reflection of the coming from Krishna's body in spiritual life?
Everything is in Krishna's body. Because everything is Krishna.
The original.
Everything is Krishna. Yeah, that's.
What the scientists say about the sky when it's blue?
I don't know what they say. Who cares what they say? They are in ignorance. So many theories. Today one theory, then tomorrow another theory. But theory is not knowledge. That means maybe. Hypothesis. Maybe this, maybe that. Yes. But that's maybe it came from a big bang. All this intelligent, organized material world. Have you ever seen a construction camp coming? Oh, yeah, you want to construct that? That's the price. We will come tomorrow. Three trucks of dynamite, and the building is there. It's just that's not knowledge. It's just maybe this, maybe that.
Speculation.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.